Basically, if you do the same thing for a really long time or very intensely, you could get burned out, which means your brain no longer wants to focus on it. Hey everybody, it is So Square and Cubed, and I want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. It is back to school season. It is August. I am here in Texas, and school usually starts around mid-August. I would say probably around like the 20th or so. But back to school is in like full swing in a lot of places. I'm no longer in school. I was a college student. Now I'm a college graduate. Yay. I want to talk about school and depression and how those things kind of feed off of each other and go hand in hand. And I also wanted to give you some like survival tips that I either used or should have used to kind of help me get through everything too. Because let's be completely honest, I really struggled throughout school. We're going full 5-minute crafts here. These are 10 tips, tricks, advice, whatever you want to call it, to get you through your schooling if you have depression. So let's jump in, shall we? Number 1 tip. If you need to study or if you need to do some homework, do not go home. Studying is really important. I fell into this trap a lot when I would try to study. I would go, okay, well, I've been at school all day. I'll go home. I'll take a little nap and then I'll study. That never happens. Do not trust yourself. It never happens. You will go home. You'll be like, oh, I need just a little bit of food, and you'll have a snack, and then, oh, well, you know, I'm a little bit tired, and you'll get in bed. Then you'll sleep the whole night, you'll play on your phone. Like, it happens. Don't do it. Just don't. You can go to a Starbucks, a coffee shop that's not a Starbucks. You can go to a library. You can stay at your school's library if they have an after-school program, if you're in high school or like what have you. If you're in college, so you can basically literally go anywhere you want to. Go somewhere neutral. Don't go home. Like, even if you're, oh, I'm gonna go home and study at my kitchen table. Don't do it. It's way too distracting. And if you're like me, you have depression, you have mental illness, any little distraction like snowballs itself. And it gets really hard to snap yourself back into the attitude of, I need to get my stuff together and actually study. Tip number 2, because you are not going home to study, one of the second most important things, and I'm sure you can hear all of these packages rattling, is to make sure that you are well fed. When you wake up in the morning, you should eat before you catch your bus, before you start driving to school, whatever you're doing, you should eat something. Even if it's a Go-Gurt, I don't care, put something in your body. The more meals you miss, the more it messes with your brain chemistry, and if you already have depression, that can exacerbate it. One of my biggest failures when I was trying to implement tip 1 was, oh, well, I'm hungry and I don't have any food. Keeping this kind of stuff in my backpack keeps me from having to go home because, well, I'm hungry. What I personally like to do is I have a bunch of shelf-stable snacks to have on hand. I can throw these into a bag. I mean, this is actually what I take to work because I work really long hours. I have pudding, I have chips, pudding that doesn't have to be refrigerated. It's not healthier than yogurt, but if you are staying late after school to study, you'll have something to eat. I also have ramen bowls because as long as you have access to hot water, you can make these. Crackers, like pretzels, stuff that doesn't have to be refrigerated, doesn't necessarily have to be cooked. Obviously, this stuff is not going to feed you for hours and hours and hours, but it will at least help you out a little bit to kind of curb that craving so you can get some studying done. Third most important thing, especially for people with depression, brain chemistry is a big deal because our brain chemistry is like wonky. It is summer. It is hot. Guess what you should do when it's really hot? Drink water. I know I sound like a 90s infomercial right now or like a PSA, but it really is like super important. Get yourself a water bottle and just have it filled up. If you don't have the money to buy a reusable water bottle, I'm not going to tell you, well, don't drink water then. Drink water. I don't care how you're drinking water. Drink water. And if you're not drinking water, drink something. Try to limit sodas. Maybe get tea if you need something with flavor instead, or like sparkling water if you can enjoy that sort of thing. I don't. I think LaCroix is the devil because I can't taste it and I don't like it and it's weird flavored. But go for sparkling water if you like that. But drink something, stay hydrated, because the more dehydrated you are, the more off your brain chemistry is going to be, which can, like I said earlier, like compound and make things worse. Depression, especially if you've had it for a long time, any kind of mental illness that you've had for a long time, can sometimes mess with your brain's ability to remember things. What I recommend, wherever you keep your bag, wherever you keep all of your supplies for the day, make a list and put it above wherever your bag sits. You should put your snacks on your list, put your homework on your list, put anything you could possibly need for the day. Your water bottle, your wallet, your lunch money, anything you possibly need. And when you're filling your bag up, don't take your bag with you, take the items to the bag. That way, you're looking at your list, you're looking at your bag, you're double checking you have everything. That way, whenever you do have a really heavy brain fog day, whenever you're just like tired, less stress for you all around. That is like a lifesaver of a tip, and I've actually been doing it a lot recently. Tip number 5, be okay with getting less than perfect. Getting a 1 on an assignment is better than getting a 0. Getting a 70 on an assignment is better than getting a 0. Getting a 99 on an assignment is better than getting a 0. It sounds so redundant, like, yeah, of course anything is better than a 0, but if you're the type of person like me, I'm a perfectionist. If I don't think I'm doing something well, I don't want to do it at all, which is stupid, because how else do you learn except by doing? And that's the entire point of school. Your professor does not care what your grade is. They want you to learn the material, because that's the entire reason that you're there. And they can't help you learn the material if you don't turn in your assignments, whether they're worth a 0, whether they're worth 100, or literally any number in between. It is different for high school. They really do kind of just care about grades there, unless you have a really, really good teacher, which I hope most of you do. But no matter what age of schooling you're in, just turn it in. Just turn it in. It doesn't matter. Even if you do the work and you still end up making a 0, that's fine, because at least you tried. And that's the entire process of learning. Tip number 6. This kind of only applies to college students, but if you're in high school, maybe you have a special program, and I hope that you do. But most universities, colleges, what have you, offer therapy for their students. You may not necessarily be paying for them, but somebody is. So you should take advantage of that if you have it, especially if you think you need it. So if you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling down, if you are scared about passing your classes, talk to them. That's why they're there. Use those resources, because if you don't, it's just going to waste. So look into it. I hope your school offers it. If they do, take advantage of it. If they don't, find some sort of program in your area that can maybe help you, or if you're young enough, talk to your parents about maybe going to therapy if you're comfortable with that. Tip number 7, sleep. Sleep is very important, especially for people with depression, but this circles back to what I said earlier, where we may have chronic fatigue and chronically be sleepy. When I was in high school, and especially when I was in college, all I ever wanted to do was sleep, and that leads to being very unproductive. It even got to a point where I would sleep, not do my homework, and because I didn't do my homework, I felt guilty when I wanted to hang out with my friends, so I wasn't hanging out with my friends, and instead I was sleeping again because I didn't want to do my homework because I was depressed, and it was a vicious cycle, and a very isolating cycle. What you can do to try and prevent it is have a set bedtime, if this is possible. For me, it wasn't really possible because I was also working while I was going to school. I had a time frame for around when I wanted to sleep and around when I wanted to be awake. I would want to go home and be asleep by 1 to 2 a.m. because I worked nights. And I would want to be awake around maybe 9 to 10 a.m. Give yourself that leeway. If you can set a standard bedtime where it's it is time to go to bed, the phone goes away, things get turned down, and sleepy time happens, that's awesome. If you have to have a wider window of when it's possible for you to get in bed and when it's possible for you to be awake, that's perfectly fine too. I don't expect that you're going to adhere to this all the time because I certainly didn't, but the more you can adhere to it, the better. But just make sure that you're getting enough sleep and not oversleeping, and you're sleeping because you're tired, not because you're depressed or bored, because those are easy to mistake for each other. Tip number 8, if you want to succeed in school, you have to be wary of something called burnout. Basically, if you do the same thing for a really long time or very intensely, you could get burned out, which means your brain no longer wants to focus on it. To help prevent burnout, relax, do whatever helps you decompress and get all of the school junk off of you. After you're done studying and doing your homework for the night, just let it lay down and focus on something else. And then you can start looking forward to those days off, which is really fun. It starts to get fun and then it starts to feel like a reward, and that's what you want. Tip number 9, find a group and study with them. Do your homework with them, because that's probably the best way to keep you honest and to keep you out of the house at the same time. Whether you're in high school or college, it doesn't matter. Get a couple people's names and numbers and just say hey, I'm available these days and these times. Does anybody want to do a study group with me? We can do our homework and we can figure it out. And not only do you keep yourself honest and you keep yourself on your homework and on time, but you also end up making friends, which I think is really important if you're in school, especially college. Whether you're in college or in high school, start building these bonds, making these friendships, and it'll just set you up for success. That's pretty much it. Study group, study homework, group homework, do it all, make friends, have someone to keep you honest with yourself. My 10th tip, final tip of the whole video, probably forever, because I'm not very good at coming up with tips about things. Ask your teacher, ask your professor, are there any resources to go along with the book, to go along with the homework? Are there any tutoring assistants available? Is there any kind of homework help available? What do I do if I get stuck on a problem? What can I do if I have questions? Is it okay to email you? Ask away. The worst they can tell you is no, I don't know, and I don't care. And some teachers and professors are like that. That has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with them. Learning is supposed to be fun, and sometimes our brains make it not so fun. And especially if you're struggling with depression. I know it's hard. I did it. It took me 6 years to get a degree that I should have been able to get in 3. So don't beat yourself up. School is hard, and that's the biggest thing. Give it your best shot. If you need help, reach out to someone. If you need extra resources, ask for them. If they don't want to give them to you, ask the next person. But I want y'all to have this little nugget of information because I didn't, and I almost didn't graduate because of it. I almost didn't get my degree. I almost went through 5 years of school and then gave up. I want y'all to have this. I want you to be successful. I love you guys. I want you to kick this year of school's ass. I want you to be so successful that you're going to look at where you were a year from now. You're going to look back and just be like, dang, why did I think this was so hard? Because you know what? It's not going to be hard because you're going to be awesome at it. You're going to do great. And you're just going to have a wonderful school year or semester if you're in college. But it's also a year. So I love you guys. Stay cool. Stay cubed. please try out some of these tips, tricks, hacks, whatever you want to call them. We're not 5-minute crafts on this channel. We're So Square I'm Cubed, and we are out. Mwah. Toodles. Also, if you're wondering what that is, I got stung by a wasp. Basically, don't come to Texas. It is the Australia of America. Everything here wants to kill you. Sometimes including yourself. Ooh, that was stark.